There's a big difference between men and women when it comes to sex. And just for those of you who have felt this in yourselves, like, why do men want sex so right away? And why do women seem to hold out and not want it as much? This is actually a fact about men and women, and you can see this in the research. Evolutionary psychology explains it, and also internet searches and men and women studies on men and women. I'm currently reading this book called A Billion Wicked Thoughts. And this book also is based, this book is actually based on research on internet searches, millions of internet searches, and what men and women look for. But I want to read you something that's very interesting here, because we hear that men are very visual, right? Men are very visual. In internet porn searches, men will really key in on just a body part. They will look for like breasts or butts or faces, whereas women are more interested generally in erotic stories and romance novels. Okay? And so let me just read this to you. Wolfgang likes to look at images of female derrieres. He prefers certain poses, bent over, legs splayed, leaning on her knuckles. He likes these images so much that he is willing to pay for the privilege of looking at them. Sometimes he pays several times a day. This might seem excessive, though not exactly remarkable, except for one fact. Wolfgang is a monkey. Rhesus macaques at Duke University Medical Center's monkey colony are able to trade fruit juice for peeks at photos of female perineum. That's the bright pink monkey butt. Researchers led by neurobiologist Michael Platt have consistently found that males are willing to trade juice to view these images and will trade more juice to look at monkey erotica than any other image, including powerful males or friendly female faces. And that's also what they found, like in porn. They found that the most popular page sites attract an audience that is 75% men. However, when it comes to paying for porn, 98% of the payers of porn are men. A willingness to drop cold hard cash on porn is certainly the best indication that men's motivation to ogle images is stronger than women's. But they also found, like the government found that a lot of their employees were watching porn at work. What are these men driven to look at? Well, again, it's usually breasts, butts, and faces. And then men have certain preferences. Like, it's pretty rare for men actually to like the spinster type. Believe it or not, the BBW sites are actually very popular. Men love curvy women and like big breasts and hips and all that stuff. Now, when it comes to women, it's a little bit different. And I want to read you something here that has to do with the differences. Because when I was reading about this, I'm sure that men realized that they saw themselves in this description because they're very turned on by just a body part. And women tend to be more turned on by romance novels and erotica. And even in that erotica, the sexual scenes are usually not explicit at all. Now, when scientists discovered that Viagra works to give men better erections, and men notice that when they take Viagra, they feel more aroused. And so scientists have been working ever since to discover a female Viagra, because the Viagra itself doesn't work on women. And they haven't been able to find it because what happens for women is they've done studies where, they show sexual images to men or women, and then for men, they have like a measuring device to see how erect the penis gets. Like even a little bit of an erection is like a positive sexual response. And then for women, they put a meter inside the vagina. I think they're looking for lubrication. And then they will ask the people how aroused they were. And so the men, there was a correlation. If a man saw an image that he felt was arousing, and his penis was started getting a little hard, and he'd be like, yeah, this turns me on. Okay, so you would think it would be the same for women, but it isn't. So for women, actually, their body will respond and be aroused to a certain image. But if you ask the woman if this turns her on, she will say no. And that's because for women, we have a lot of things going on in our brain that men are lacking, I want to say, that makes us decide whether or not we want to do something about that arousal and have a sexual experience. So our body could be turned on, but we could feel repulsed by the situation. And women get aroused by a lot more things. So if you show like some photo of like two monkeys copulating, a man's penis will not get erect. He will not even want to do it. He'll say it doesn't turn him on and he won't have an erection. But women will have a sexual response, but that they still don't want to have sex with the monkey. Or they might even see like a certain man that might turn them on, but they still don't necessarily want to have sex with that guy. Because there is more going on in the brain. And the theory is that it has to do with evolutionary psychology. Like women, we just have to be more choosy about who could possibly get us pregnant. Now, I know that nowadays women have birth control, but we're still more choosy. Maybe one day eventually we won't be. I don't know. But for now, we're still more choosy. And so I want to read something here in this book that has to do with that. And this is also why there is no female Viagra, because it's not about getting women more turned on. It's about what's going on in the brain. Actually, the number one complaint that sex therapists get from women is low sexual desire. But it often has to do with how we feel about a situation. And there are 4 parts of sexual desire, the emotional, social, cultural, and physical parts of us. Before I read this to you, I'm sure you've heard about the study that was done. It has been repeated in many countries, where a group of men would go up to different women and ask them, would you date me? Would you go home with me? Would you go to bed with me? And then also women asking men. And of course, what do you guess the answer? The results were of the study. The results of the study was that men would say yes. If a woman goes up to a man and says, would you date me? He will say yes half the time. Will you go to bed with me? 75% of the men said yes. Now for the women, would you date me? Again, about half of the women would say yes, I would date you. Actually, it was a little bit more. It's almost 60% of the women said yes. Would you go to bed with me? 0%. Now, is this cultural? It seems to be not. It just seems to be that the desires of men and women are different. So, Joe Rogan made a funny comment. He said, booty is so strong, there are dudes willing to blow themselves up for the highly unlikely possibility of booty in another dimension. There are no chicks alive willing to blow themselves up for a penis. Women masturbate less, fantasize about sex less frequently, and initiate sex less often than men. Women report low sexual desire much more often than men. In fact, among medical professionals who treat sexual disorders, low female desire is the single most common complaint. In women, desire is much less likely to initiate orgasm-seeking behavior. Women are much more likely than men to pursue sex for reasons other than sexual pleasure. Women are more likely to report low desire as resulting from relationship difficulties and high desire as resulting from relationship harmony. Such findings have contributed to the development of a theory of women's desire as being substantially different from that of men. But why is that? When contemplating sex with a man, a woman has to consider the long term. This consideration may not even be conscious, but rather is part of unconscious software that has evolved to protect women over hundreds of thousands of years. Sex could commit a woman to a substantial life-altering investment: pregnancy, nursing, and more than a decade of child-rearing. The unique detective skills of the female sexual brain were honed over hundreds of thousands of years of amateur sleuthing, investigating the character of sneaky and aggressive men in an extraordinary variety of contexts. So, yes. Now, women are more likely to pay money for celebrity biographies in order to read about the private life of Leonardo DiCaprio or Johnny Depp, but they won't pay money to see photos of them nude. Men whip out the credit card to see a naked Angelina Jolie or Scarlett Johansson, though it would never occur to them to shell out cash for their biographies. This part of a woman's brain is responsible for the separation of her mind from her sexual body. So this is important for us all to understand, that, ladies, that we can appreciate our differences from men, and that men with their much higher sex drive, men do have a higher sex drive, that men who want to be with a woman have to understand how women are. Like, if you send a dick pic, or you're like, meeting a woman and wanting to just go home and have sex with her, the typical woman is not going to be interested in that. I would say that only traumatized women, sexually aggressive women, some kind of wounded women, or maybe a woman that's just in college experimenting and being drunk. I don't know how many sober women would actually just meet up with a guy and hook up, unless she's being paid for it, like an escort, a sex worker. And even they have a lot of screening requirements. One thing that I get really frustrated about is the large number of men who have no understanding of female nature, and they think that they can just get easy access to us like that. For the same reason, ladies, because men's sex drive is so high, and they can pretty much masturbate to just a photo of a woman's privates. They don't even need to know you. They don't need to like you. They can get turned on just by that. And so because their drive is so strong, they will take a lot of risks in order to get this release, this orgasmic release through your body, objectifying you, which is fine if they bring their heart and their interest along. But a lot of women nowadays are being too easy, and they misinterpret, as I used to do, this man's interest in them as being a personal interest in them. But he's just wanting an orgasmic release through your beautiful body. I'm not going to shame men for wanting this. I want men to understand, though, that your sex drive must involve your heart, and you have to be respectful in how you approach a woman and be honest. It's very important for men who just want to hook up to say that they just want to hook up from the very beginning when they meet a woman, and not lead a woman on, because that's deceitful. And deceit has no place in human society. I think it's a very toxic quality. However, since there are so many men that are deceitful, it's up to us ladies we can't be as trusting as we want to be. I mean, I love being trusting. It's such a beautiful quality to be around people that we can trust. However, when we meet new people, we have to kind of vet them, whether they're friends, or especially men have to be vetted, because a lot of them, in their hunger to just get our bodies, they don't bring their heart with them. They don't bring their authenticity with them. And so they will play, they will pretend to be interested, they will pretend to want to date you, and they use words. And somehow we as humans are very cued into words. And this is where we have to, ladies, we really have to do the job of like, what are the man's actions? And don't even pay attention to his words, because they will say so many things. Like it used to be a long time ago, they'd say, I love you, as in order to get sex. But now they'll just say, I want to date you, or you're so special, or we would make such a great couple, or I really want to get to know you. But they really just want sex. And so what is so important to do is to realize the differences in our natures, and that men who want sex, they really need to say it from the beginning when they meet a woman, like, I'm just looking for something casual. It should be said in the very first meeting before you ever get the woman's number. I think you should say what your purpose is. And we need to ask each other, when someone wants to get to know us, ask us like, what is your intention? Are you looking for hookup? Are you looking for marriage or a relationship? I think we need to ask what people's intentions are and what they're looking for. And this is the big thing for women, because we tend to be very trusting, including me. If a man says he wants to date us, just ignore it, because he shouldn't be asking, he should be doing it. A man who wants to date you will actually date you. He's not going to say, I want to date you, I want a relationship with you. He's actually going to say, are you free Friday night for dinner? Are you free Saturday morning for a bike ride? I'm going to come pick you up. We'll put our bikes in the back of my truck. He's actually going to do something. Oh, you like art museums? I'm going to take you to the art museum this weekend. So he's actually not going to be talking on the phone, and he's not texting. He's asking you out, taking you places, doing things for you. So this is the trick that can mess with your brain, is what they say. And the other thing could be alcohol. So the two things, ladies, to watch out for when you're first meeting a guy and vetting him is to keep your drinking below a glass of wine, or none at all, if drinking makes you get more amorous and relaxed. And the second thing is to watch his actions and not his words. You want to completely ignore his words and have him give you something of value. His money, his time, and physical space. No texting, no talking. I had this guy this other day. This escort client. He was really good in bed. He was very good looking. And I kind of got a little bit taken off my game when he was like, oh, we would make such a hot couple. And I was like, damn, he was really good looking. And he was younger, like 20 years younger, I want to say. Very good looking guy, very good in bed. And then he can't afford to, I don't know if he was cheap. He was a freeloader. That's what he was. He was a freeloader. But because he was cute, I was like, well, make another appointment and make your case. But a real man would have just made the other appointment. He wouldn't have just been texting me. See, when they text you to ask you on a date, it's always off, because a man really interested in you is going to ask you out in person. He's going to find out how to find you and get you in person. He's not going to be texting you what he wants to do. He's actually going to do it. So this gentleman should have made another appointment and then asked me at the beginning of the appointment. Or if you meet a man on, say, LinkedIn or Facebook, he should say, hey, I see you like riding bikes. How about I pick you up Saturday? I put our bikes in the back of my pickup and we go for a bike ride. He should show an effort, physical action. Do not listen to their words, because their natural desire, and guys, listen to this too, because your desire to want to fuck us is like, it's a beautiful gift, But if it's not accompanied with your heart, it's actually toxic. That is toxic masculinity. Is if you try to plunder a woman or use a woman under false pretenses, that's toxic masculinity. And if you um, are mean or aggressive, that's toxic masculinity. But just your sexual interest accompanied by action is a beautiful, beautiful gift. Toxic femininity is using a man just for his money, plundering him financially, cheating on him, and talking bad about him in front of other people, putting him down, not appreciating him. But I don't know any women like that, but I come across a lot of men whose intentions are not clear because they're deceitful. Yeah, and so that is not good. Yeah, so guys, your sexuality is, and if you're watching porn, not my porn page is very mild. You're paying just to see me, a regular woman. The porn that's really bad is like the very weird stuff, like the group things and the things that are not really actually what a woman actually likes. Like I do amateur porn, which is stuff I actually like with just one person. But if you're watching like really crazy stuff and you need more and more, and then you don't know how to be with a real woman, that constant masturbation is interfering with your natural sex drive. See, guys, your natural sex drive, your desire, your sexual lust is actually what makes you go out and talk to women and approach women, your sexual desire for a woman. And if you bring your heart into it, then you're going to be honest and you're going to be looking for a girlfriend or a wife. Okay, that's a healthy sexuality because you want to share your sexuality with the same woman in a loving, connected relationship. And if you're masturbating a lot to porn, you're going to lose your desire for the woman and you're going to start seeing all women as porn objects, and maybe you just want to have sex with women. You don't develop the skills you need of dealing with rejection, being in action, doing things. It just makes men very lazy and passive. So I want you to love your sexuality, guys. You have to bring your heart with it and think of women as someone to be in a relationship with. And I think that that's going to make women a lot more receptive to you. Because when guys are just coming on to us just looking for easy sex, like we're just guarded and repulsed. Like we don't like that. A healthy woman does not want to just be used for sex. Now, I know there are women that do just hook up a lot, like they're swingers, but even polyamorous people are very choosy. They're very choosy, and a lot of escorts are very choosy, very choosy. It's just in general that women are just more choosy. So, yeah, I think that I have to catch myself, you guys, in this one area where sometimes I'll like feel sorry for a guy and I'll like try to do him a favor, let's say, like this gentleman that wanted to like go out with me. I felt sorry for him because he's going through a divorce. You know, he's kind of a people pleaser. And that's where we have to catch ourselves too, because a competent man is not a victim. He's another adult who is responsible for his finances, his feelings, and his life. And if you're not as competent as I am, you shouldn't be pursuing me. You shouldn't even be pursuing me if you're not competent. So I expect you to be competent, to handle your feelings, to handle your emotions. And so start noticing, ladies, if you start thinking of the guy as a victim, as someone you have to take care of or help, run. So here are the three things, ladies, we're going to look for. One, a man is going to ask you out in person, and it's going to require some effort on his part that he joyfully gives to you. Paying, taking you somewhere, physically doing things for you, okay? Number two, you don't feel like he's a victim. You feel like he's a competent man. Let's see. I forgot. I forgot what my other ones were. But he's not, he's sexually interested in you. He thinks that you're beautiful, but he's not just talking, he's actually doing things. He's asking you on dates. Me personally, I have just completely abandoned the idea of dating altogether. I'm just really owning my what I want to do for myself. And yeah. Anyway, if you guys want to read this book, A Billion Wicked Thoughts, here it is. I'm just like in the very beginning of it still, but just wanted to share some things with you guys, especially because I get like these guys now in my escort ad. They're like, hey, can I see you? Or hey, my name is Gino. What are you up to? I'm just going to ignore that. Like, you got to have something to offer. And it's hard for me because when a guy says that to me, I either want to help him out and tell him how he should talk to a woman, or sometimes I just want to tell them to get lost. Like, I get these guys that email me and they know I like to film with clients for my Just for Fans page. And they think that, just because they're endowed splendidly, or they're good looking, or, they're a fan, or because they're a filming student, that this will make me want to see them for free, to film with them on their camera. Fuck you. Or, well, of course I'd be willing to pay for an appointment, but I'd also like to take you to dinner. Fuck you, loser. You have nothing to offer, You got to bring it on. Like, my name is Gino. I'm 35 years old. I'm a construction worker. I want to see you today at 3 o'clock for an hour. I'm ready to send a deposit. Okay, now we're talking. But all this other lame stuff is bullshit. And guys will throw a lot of lines at us. And in my business, I'm pretty good with the boundaries. But then in my personal life, I try to be a little bit more accommodating, and I'm just still also trying to work on my own kinks and be like, okay, how much should I expect of some guy who just wants to date me? Should I make him book an appointment to check him out? That's probably what I should do. That would work for me. Make an appointment. Let me see how we get along in bed. Make your case for going out with me, and let's see if I want to go out with you. That's what I'm going to do. Make an appointment. That's what I'm going to tell them. Any guy who wants to date me, make an appointment. That's what I'm going to tell them. You can ask me out in the appointment, If you can't afford the appointment, you should be at least you should have enough money to pay for an appointment with me. Otherwise, how could you even date me? Or any woman at all if you're that broke. And it's not my problem if you're that broke. I'm sorry. Then do a half hour. I don't care. But, yeah, no. This is for standards, but this video is mostly about the differences between men and women. And again, I think that men having a sex drive is a beautiful thing because it makes them go out and pursue us. Unless they're watching porn, and it kills their drive to pursue us. It makes them pursue us, and then we, being very choosy, have all these requirements of men, and that makes them develop better qualities. But also, in order for men to like us, we have to be feminine and sweet and bring something to the table. And I made a video the other day asking men what they're looking for in a woman, and I'm just thanking them all for their replies. And when I get enough, I'll make a separate video and just share that too, because we also have to be women that men want, that they feel inspired to want to pursue us. That a man sees a woman and is like, oh my gosh. What if women just start wearing like beautiful flowy dresses and scarves and being super sweet? Wouldn't men be like, oh my God, like I want to meet her, rather than going around in these tight leggings and shorts and all this makeup and being very aggressive, and I don't need a man. Like, a man isn't inspired to fall in love with that or pursue that at all. So yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of curious what clothes men find attractive, because they'll say they like the little booty shorts because they like seeing all that, but that doesn't inspire them to like see you as a wife. I think the longer flowy dresses, long hair, like very feminine things. I think that's what they would like more, to inspire them to be like, that woman could be the mother of my children. That's the thought you want a man to have. That woman could be the mother of my children. I think that's the thought that men want in order to see us as a wife. And for me to see someone as a boyfriend, I have to think of, would he make a good father? I've already had my kids, but that's a good screening tool for me. Would this man make a good father? And that really eliminates, like, that would have eliminated that guy who texted me, because a good father wouldn't just text me for a date. He would ask me in person. So that's what I'm going to start thinking of it that way. Thank you for watching my video.